If you want to hear hip hop music in Las Vegas, everyone will tell you Dre's is the place to go. And in episode 56, the guys had Constantine on, who was the head of entertainment for Dre's management group. And he talked about creating the Dre's format and being one of the first to bring a more concert-like atmosphere to the nightclub.
Vegas, every nightclub in Vegas was frightened of hip hop.
Right, very scared.
Yeah.
I remember we were doing I would DJ Ling Ling Room, and then Constantine, you would text me and you'd be like, "Yo, we got a special guest, but we can't announce it because who?" Now I want to get to the bottom of this a little bit, but Constantine would be like, "Yo, we can't announce it. It's gonna be Mobb Deep," but he's like,
"Damn,
we can't announce it because the city's gonna shut us down." Or some shit like you would say, like, we're going to get in trouble.
Well, it wasn't me that said that, but I think I understand the story you're referring to.
Yeah, someone's like...
Listen, I think...
What is that? Who's shutting you guys down, and how does that work?
Well, no one's doing anything. I think the honest way to look at it is that, you have, like we said, billion-dollar nightclub brands, big businesses, lots of money, and obviously there's been a kind of cautious step to embrace hip hop, across the board, especially in Vegas. And, I think sometimes people have been careful how to market their brand and align them with certain artists, right? Yeah. So, whether it's like, and listen, let's be honest, right? There are certain artists that appeal to, some MCs only talk about dope. Right. Or some only talk about girls, or, Common is talking about, some introspective shit or whatever it is. Right. So
and so you got dudes like YG where everything's gang life.
Right. So not that there's right or wrong with that or whatever, but the people who are going to be, buy those CDs or listen to that music might be, in one sector. So I think, maybe that's the nice way to explain why people have been cautious. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm saying that appropriately. For me, I've never been involved in the nightlife business because of like girls or partying or all those things. I just had to get manage well to stay there.
Yeah.
But it's always just been about this kind of. How enamored I am with just music and what it does to people and everything. Right. And, when I came to Vegas and, I was in Park City, so we would do cool things, but it wasn't because we were paying a lot of money. It just random shit that we got lucky to get done. In Vegas, people making, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a night. In my head, there's a lot of things you can do with that, you know? And, the cool thing about Sundance is, we did Metallica, and then we did Nas and NERD 2 nights later. You know what I mean? It was never about one kind of music. It was about putting a live music experience within a nightclub.
It was like a variety show, bro.
Yeah,
it was a musical variety show that you guys did.
It was cool. It was special.
Yeah.
It was an indoor festival.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of before there was all these festivals going on. It was like a festival,
random,
bro.
Yeah.
Metallica the Nerd. I mean, NERD to wherever he's just said, fuck.
Yeah, the Metallica shit was nuts. Just
love that.
It all happened. But.
So then you got like guys like Jamie here who's just starting. He's like a rookie DJ. He's just coming onto the scene. He's like originally a sneakerhead.
Right.
But like he's like, who's Constantine? He's like, what is this
you
all
hear
about?
Constantine, I'm like,
well, what is this?
Let me put a face to this guy.
So he's asking me all
the
of
good stuff's true. Only the good stuff.
He's asking me all these questions. I'm like, yo, don't worry, don't like you're gonna find out. But like what you were just talking about at Hakkasan and coming into Dre's and how it all aligned a little bit.
Yeah,
you need someone with balls.
100%
to follow through with all of your ideas or suggestions because
100%.
Like I said, everyone was so scared of hip hop.
Oh yeah.
And also at the time, EDM was kind of big, right?
It was huge.
I mean, it had been at its peak for a little bit, but it was that's all everybody because again, when there's so much on the line, a lot of people are like, well, this works, let's not mess it up, let's just try and do it our way,
don't fuck up a good thing,
right? And so again, for me, it's like you're making money, but it was just like there was no like creative fulfillment, and that's kind of where my brain set was coming from, and then also obviously I like hip hop music a little bit more, I think,
but also I mean, let's not lie, I mean, when Dre's first opened, you guys were pushing EDM acts on the weekends, and I think you had like a hip hop Sunday or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's been a long road to get from there to here. So
it was a gradual thing because like I want to say like all the big EDM acts were kind of already taken.
Correct.
So then when you guys would try to sign EDM acts, they were still like I guess well-known DJs, but they just weren't that big as like a Calvin Harris or Tiesto. You know what I mean?
Like who did you have?
Still, you had Sidney Sampson.
Yeah, great DJ.
I want to know who the EDM guys are.
When I first got there, and you know, a lot of things that were already moving, right? So I got to Dre's about 6 months after they opened. I think I got there in July, or not even that. They opened in May. I got there in July of that year.
Yeah.
And I think we had, you know, Mac J, Blau. Yeah. You know, the thing is if you go look at all the DJs throughout Vegas, not at Dre's now, but, you know, some of them are still there. But all of them kind of blew up there and then evolved and got gigs at other places. Sometimes some of them continued going and some kind of plateaued. But at the time, that was your Borges. The first time he was in Vegas was at Dre's, Blau, Mac J. You mentioned Sidney Sampson.
Kind of like the new like trap EDM,
correct?
Like all the trap EDM DJs, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, especially that time with the climate with the DJs, is like, you know, Tiesto and Calvin worked all the time. Everything else didn't, right? So, and the difference between Dre's and every other club is, you know, the Cromwell's a 188 hotel room property. It's the only boutique hotel on the Strip. So unlike MGM or the Wynn or, you know, Cosmo, there's, you know, we don't have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 rooms. We have 188. So everything about...
There's only 188?
That's it. So,
know that.
you know, you have Flamingo and Caesars, but those still off property. You still have to leave that property to come. So, you know, what we all realized fast is, you know, there was nice momentum because it was a new club, but in order for us to really get people there we had to bring them. Yeah. They didn't just stay there and come.
There's no walk. There's no traffic. There's no walking traffic. You're like a destination location.
Right. So, you know, every club in town, you know, you inherit a certain crowd or you mark to that crowd. You know, we kind of have to drive a big portion of the people that come.
But it's also like a nightclub's identity gets a little watered down though.
Correct.
When Dre's has EDM and then every club has EDM. But you don't have Calvin Harris or Tiesto or Steve Aoki. You just kind of look like everybody else,
like a bad version of everything.
Yeah, you're like kind of like a bad version.
And I think that's kind of where, you know, you say the stars aligned. You know, obviously I'm this guy that you know had a kind of niche expertise, and then I had a passion for hip hop music and the culture. You know, to me, that's where I got the gratification on like showing the compelling difference between a Nas show or, you know what I mean, a Future show and, you know, Afrojack show. You know, not that, you know, that's not cool, but just there's a very big difference between, you know, somebody in a DJ booth jumping and a guy performing, engaging. You're so close, you can feel his sweat, and you know he's actually, you know, singing or rapping the lyrics. You know, I really was excited about that. I think where it goes to, you got to have a guy with balls, or you got to have the right people that are, you know, you can pitch somebody a lot of things, but you know, will they help you do it? Will they fall through? Will they stand behind you when it's tough? And I think that's where, you know, Victor Dre, before I ever spoke to him, and to this day and along the process, he definitely, you know, is a principle-based person. So separate from, well, gosh, even though I'm spending a lot of money, I'm making money, in his head, he felt, well, if I'm going to spend this much money, I want something more. You know, I want to be different. I don't mind spending the money, but it has to be different. So I think, you know, him already having that mentality, and, you know, he really wanted to do something different, you know. And Victor's a funny guy because, you know, if you know, part of a short version of the after hours story is, you know, someone threw an after hours party at his restaurant because it was a steakhouse, and it worked. And he's like, this is great. Let's do it every night. Right. So when something works, he's like, great, all the time. Right. So, you know, we had a lot of conversations. I started in July, and Agenda was like the good environment to, you know, to bring something in. And the first show we ever did again was Nas. Because, you know, Nas has kind of been one of those guys. I did a show with a long time ago. We had a very mutual connection, and I've always tried to work with Nas anytime I can, just, you know, like on some geek shit, right? So, you know, we did Nas and Jeremiah. Those were the first two shows we did, and then we did Chris Brown on Halloween at the time, and we did Chris. People were like, "Don't do Chris. What are you doing?"
I was there for that.
And it was amazing.
It was insane.
He came, he performed for like an hour and a half, maybe, and you know.
My thing is this: when you were putting these things on the table, and obviously there were people in the room that were like, "Well, you know, everything's EDM. Let's stay with EDM." How hard was it to kind of, you know,
especially with Victor Dre's?
Yeah, it's like how do you feed them like a kid vegetables and like kind of make it taste like cake? You know what I mean? Pause.
I think that goes on. I think that goes on like minor details more. But I will say, and I don't just say this because it sounds right, but to Victor's credit, the minute he saw it, he was like,
I get it.
I found it. It's this is it. And
because you guys stood out a lot when you guys started embracing hip hop.
Absolutely,
you guys stood out, and then everybody looked like they were behind. Like they
especially
were like, oh shit.
The placement of where Dre's is at. Like you look up and you just see shit going on and hip hop music coming out. Even from like the strip, you're like, that's why.
Because when industry motherfuckers are talking, like, yo, did you see Chris Brown? Did you see like the Instagram of Chris Brown?
Right.
When that one, I don't know what night that was, but that was the epic night.
That was the Mayweather fight weekend.
I think I texted you or DM'd you. And I said, yo, fam, you are like breaking new ground here.
It was pretty cool.
It was a fight weekend, right?
It was actually the Mayweather fight weekend. So we did Chris the first time, and Dre's Victor's always been a big fan of Chris and his style, good of a dancer. And Chris was awesome from the day.
Because he's an insane performer, right?
Listen, Chris might be the most talented human being alive. Like, he's the kind of person you could be like, hey, here's a pencil, and he'll, paint a mural. Like, here's a basketball, he'll cross you over and dunk. He'll rap, he'll sing, he can do a back. He just is a dynamic person. I've never seen anybody that can do anything, right? So, and in the club, that's like, he was the perfect combination. I think the next big thing that kind of put us in a outside of just hip hop or whatever the case, because even though Chris is an R&B artist, he's like a hip hop R&B artist to a certain degree in some fashion. I don't know. But when we, and circle back to the Weeknd, then the next act we signed, and originally the plan was to do it once a month.
Yeah.
We were like, let's do it once a month. We kind of had a lot of commitments to the DJs. And then after Chris, Victor's is like, I want to do this every night, which, is cool, but also is a little scary because all of a sudden you got to ramp that up. And then we did the Weeknd on New Year's, the day before New Year's, I think it was, 2013, so going into 14. And at the time, it was the same thing. Like, I was like, please do this. You have to do this. They're like, I don't know. It's too, whatever. We fought. Finally, some other people got involved in the conversation, even on the Caesar side, and they're like, hey, they're probably right. We should do this. We did it. And then that first show happened. And one, if you've been to a Weeknd show, especially at that time, it's like 75% women, and not just 75%, like the baddest,
like the
girls that don't go out, that need whatever to go out.
It was like 8-1. I think the first time you had Weeknd.
Yeah.
So wait, you had to really fight to get Weeknd at Dre's.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a movie.
I wouldn't say. Listen, I wouldn't say fight, but I think what we were doing is new for all of us. You know, so it's scary
because he didn't have a single yet, really.
Well,
no, he had to join with Drake.
Yes, he had those joints. He had all those joints, and at the time, often he would play often. He'd play all those songs, and he had a couple new songs. And so we did the New Year's thing, and we did a show the next week at CES with him, and they're great. I mean, he's an example. I would say that, what can happen if you have a guy that's dedicated, like Michael Jordan, dedicated to his craft. Because some guys will, and I don't mean this the right or wrong way, but they're okay being a little late. They're okay, maybe the show ends a little short. He's not. Like, one time we made him late, and he's like, listen, we're here for them. We should never be late. And their whole team was so thorough from day one. And I think, it's an example to see, look at him now. We did those first two shows. Our next show was in February. Earned It dropped after our second show. Mm-hmm. And when Earned It dropped, he was gone. It was like they were like, oh, we shouldn't have signed a deal because like if we would have signed that deal a week later,
and then he became like a mega fucking star.
He was
that was the new 50 Shades of Grey song.
Yeah, exactly. And then the album came out, and then after that,
The Beautiful Man.
It was like, crazy. Hey, do you want to do another year? And he's like, I'm doing arenas. So
thanks, Trace.
But he did come back and did a few shows for you guys, right?
We did. We finished out that year, and those guys are like family to this day, and he's one of the nicest, most soft-spoken, humble, engaged. He's just a great, normal person, and randomly, he's Ethiopian. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of Ethiopia is Greek Orthodox. In fact, next to Greece and Russia, Ethiopia has the most Greek Orthodox. Like
really,
proportionately, it's like 95%. Wow. So when we met, he's like, you're Greek, because my name's a very like Greek Orthodox Greek name, and he's like, actually my my mother's a very serious Greek Orthodox, and he's like, and he told me and the whole bit. So, just little random things like that kind of, always help, maybe strengthen the relationship. But it was the Weeknd and Chris, and then we had the Mayweather fight. So
yeah, and then I just want to paint the picture of the Mayweather fight. It was Chris Brown.
What Mayweather was this?
The first one. I mean, the big one, the Pacquiao.
Yeah, the Pacquiao.
Pacquiao. So it's
it was Chris
2015.
Brown performing.
Correct.
And on stage was like 50 Cent. Like, it was everybody.
It was everybody. It was awesome.
It was like, and I remember I told you, it's like the first time I saw like a hip hop rap pack.
Yeah.
Where like everybody
It's
was
funny
on,
you
like,
say that, yeah.
50 Cent was on stage. There was like Fabulous. There was like this dude, and everyone just started performing.
Yeah, on that one picture, it was.
You had like millions of dollars worth of talent on one stage performing for free.
Well,
kind of.
like,
a lot of bottles went out. A lot of bottles went out.
A lot of Ace of Spades went out. I don't know what happened.
I will say, it's
a lot of effing vodka.
lots of effing vodka. Well, a lot of those things. There were more chess pieces to make all that happen.
Yeah. So how does that happen? How does
so that didn't happen spontaneously. It was kind of planned.
It was spontaneous for some people. Sometimes you kind of move the obstacle course, hoping they'll go left and right, and then it works out. And I think that that's also part of the job. Even if you're a DJ, right, and the act shows up, you want to create an organic enough rapport that they might, do some impromptu shit.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think that's also the power of live music and hip hop versus an electronic DJ, right? Because what can Tiesto come into the booth with another DJ do? You can only do so much, right? So another act comes in, all of a sudden people, sometimes we don't even care who the other act, they just see an extra person, they're like, oh my God, So, but for Mayweather, everybody was here, right?
But is it one of those things where like, all right, if we bring this one dude, that everyone's gonna follow that one dude?
It's like domino effect.
I think you hope that. I think when it's like New Year's Eve or Super Bowl or the fight weekend. I remember when I was a kid and there was a picture of like Jay-Z, Diddy, and 50 at Tao, and I was in Utah running the little club, and I was like, oh wow, I wish. But that night was Busta Rhymes, Akon, 50 Cent, Chris Brown, Tyga, Fab.
Jada Kiss
Was
probably.
Usher there too?
I don't know if Usher was on stage.
But it was crazy.
Westbrook
Trey
was on
Songz,
stage.
I think, was,
Trey Songz was there too.
dude, come on, man, that's nuts.
And it was like, play this. I mean, it was very organic. It was awesome. And I think it was actually Chris's birthday. We had just signed Chris to a residency, which was a big deal for him at the time because a lot of people weren't.
They were steering from him.
They weren't sure, and I think that
it looked like the most. It was like I wanted to just be there because it just looked like everyone on stage looked happy.
It was dope.
You've never seen a group of rappers together like happy.
They were
like popping bottles.
It's true.
And like and motherfuckers singing other motherfuckers songs.
Yeah. I think there's like a picture of like Akon, like a little kid on Busta Rhymes' shoulder, and Busta Rhymes is like rapping and like jumping, and it was like
crazy.
That was May of 2015.
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah. That was.
I think that was one of the first times where. For a Mayweather fight,
there
was something to do that was revolving around hip hop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
that before it wasn't that way for Mayweather. People would come out here and really didn't know what to do, so they had a destination at that point.
And I think that Mayweather weekend is when we were like, okay, we did it. We're comfortable. We're not afraid. We can do it.
There's a market. There's a demand for it,
and we can make it. And we can make it work.
Yeah.
Meaning, listen. Hennessy and vodka are different drinks, right? So it's a different drunk. It's a different response. And so,
is that a fact?
I mean, I don't know. Listen, that's why I don't drink. That's why I try not to drink.
You just said it like you did a lot of research. Like you just read some shit about that.
I mean, I didn't read anything, but there definitely was some experiential research along the way.
Yeah.
Between dark and light. I'm a much happy tequila guy, and Hennessy, you feel compelled to, anyway. So that's it. But I think
there's a thing called Henny Dick. So
I mean, there's whiskey dick.
Yeah, so it's Henny Dick.
I don't know about that.
I've never had. This going a direction I wasn't.
I've never had. Yeah, I know. I've never been like, yo, man, I was fucked up last night, but I wasn't Hennessy drunk last night.
No, listen, I will say that
I wasn't Hennessy drunk.
I'm Greek, so it's in our genes to break stuff. Like we Greek dance and break plates. So to me, Henny's like let's break something. It's like I feel a little more.
I feel you.
The other when I drink tequila, I'm like I kind of talked too much last night. So, but anyways, I was making a joke, but I think I think that after
Trust me, this is a normal thing in a podcast where we just go off on a tangent on shit like that. So this,
great. I'll fit right in. I'll fit right in. So I think that after the Mayweather weekend, though, we definitely knew, wow, we can make money doing this. Wow, the crowd is gorgeous. Wow, this was a better party than anyone else.
Yes, it was.
I think that even with the Weeknd, when we did the Weeknd the first time, we went against the Guettas and the Calvins, but everybody, like, that was the coolest party. You know what I mean?
Every industry, every hot industry chick was there. Every DJ was there. Yeah. I think I was lucky to DJ. I was either DJing that night.
I think you were actually. I think you were.
Yeah,
because you were on the.
I was shocked.
The 10-year Constantine rotation.
I was
Park City.
Park City, Utah.
I was shocked.
I had like 5-6 DJs that I turned to for any. Crooked was one of the guys we turned to for just about everything. And so.
But what do you call it? I want to know the moving pieces on getting that all coordinated. All of those rappers there. Like, how does that work?
I mean, you have a great club. You have a great staff who can coordinate people in and out.
I know you're doing that corporate shit again.
It's a sexy looking club too.
But listen, a lot of clubs are.
I know you're on the phone yelling at motherfuckers like, "Yo, 50 is on his way. Get to the fucking door. And make sure he's in there." And blah blah blah.
The timing of all of it too, because it's like hey, you got to be here by this time. The guy that's supposed to go on stage goes on stage.
Because it takes forever to get in the club. You don't want to make 50 and his team and his.
Well, they don't wait, so
it's a long elevator ride.
So you gotta check some.
I gotta fucking wait. I gotta be like, I'm like, yo, I'm DJing. They're like, well, hold on.
It is a process sometimes.
Yeah.
But listen, you gotta follow the rules and deliver a safe and secure experience. Mm-hmm. We all know that in Vegas, but I think that the best part about it, or the hardest part about it, is timing it right. Because let's say I think 50 and Tyga had a song at the time or something, and so. You're waiting for 50 to show up. Tyga goes on. You're hoping he gets to the stage by the time that happens. Mm-hmm. Then, there's two guys you want to get on, but, the beauty about a guy like 50 Cent is because once he's there, it's like you don't have to really do the work anymore because he's going to be like, hey, come on stage.
He'll call him out.
Oh, no, you have to come on stage. Like,
no one's going to say no to 50, right?
I mean, they might. He don't give them a lot of options, though.
He's going to break their shit. He's going to break their balls, though, if they don't come on stage.
We did a Billboard party. It was the Billboard after party, and 50 did the party. It was 50 and Luda together, actually. Uh-huh. And, whatever, the Kardashians were there or whatever. Everybody from Billboard came, and Wiz and Ty. At the time, Wiz and Ty had to deal with Tao. And, and literally 50, they were like, no, I can't. 50's like, no, I need you up here. I need you. 50 put anyone who was, would have made the night a little better they were on stage that night. They had no choice. The girls, the Kardashians, were their assistants, the Ty Dolla, Wiz, they didn't want to perform. They ended up performing. So,
really?
He's funny like that. He'll look in the crowd. He'll find the person that, he'll make the experience happen. So.
Is he still under contract at Dre's?
He's still an artist that we work with all the time, and we've had a long-standing relationship. 50 is one of my favorite artists, always has been. I think he's as an actual music artist, I think he's underappreciated because of the persona, I guess, that stands in front of him. I'm a big 50 fan, and just as a guy, he's a great guy. He's very nice, very, very courteous in person, very engaging, easy to work with. Just all around one of my favorite people in the business.
Who's your favorite artist?
Just period, or like
that's performed at Dre's.
I mean, I don't know that I could say.
You can't say it, bro.
You can say
the number one.
No, I don't even mean like because I'm not supposed to. I really do like a lot of the artists we work with for different reasons, And I mentioned Chris. Chris is as close to like a Michael Jackson talent, because all of us, it's weird, right? Like you're in a bubble, but when you're young, all this stuff was on TV or some other shit, and now it's kind of commonplace for us. But to be around Chris, today in some ways is like being around Michael and Prince 20 years ago, right? Like that's our version of it. So, and to me, the Weeknd, was to this day is just musically one of the most impressive, artists, singers. It's such a unique, original sound they've been able to curate and create. The first time I heard that, when there was like a mixtape link, I was like, what the fuck is it? I'd never heard anything like it. So, I think creatively, maybe he's one of my favorite artists. Chris, Future. I mentioned 50. Nas is always, to me is one of the greatest ever at everything. So,
If you want to check the full episode of this clip, click the video on the left. Or if you'd like to continue watching more road clips, click the video on the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new clips and videos from Road Podcast throughout the week. Peace.